So just cut that part where I sound like an idiot out of this video, please.
On it.
You're not going to, are you?
You can say that here.
How can I not find a way to get myself on a blimp? I got nothing. This is the craziest week ever. I couldn't find any guests to come on and talk about what's going on in current events this week.
There's just too many, I guess. There's too many current things.
I thought for sure there'd be some screaming liberal or some, right-wing
Troll.
Can I say nut job? I've been really fascinated by the word nut job lately.
What does that mean? What is it?
I don't know who says that. Somebody said that on Twitter the other day. I'm like, anybody who calls someone a nut job might, in essence, be a nut job, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, anybody can be a nut job, but what is a nut job? Are you a nut job if you think you're a nut job?
Well, apparently we just passed the law to, help nut jobs so they don't kill people. Well, isn't that part of the gun control law that was passed?
Which one are you talking about? The one that helps you kill people or stops you from killing people? I can't keep track anymore.
So we have a lot to talk about. So welcome to You Can Say That Here.
Episode 16.
I am Colleen Ferrari, and this is the famous Andrew Levesque.
I didn't know I was famous.
If you're not now, you will be soon. I feel it.
Oh, good. I'd rather be anonymous and rich.
Yeah, does that happen too often? How many anonymous rich people do you know?
How would you know them?
This is such a good point. This is like if the tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it make a sound kind of question?
Yeah, there could be millions of them. We just don't know who they are.
You are so smart, my polymath friend, you.
Really getting sick of people saying that aren't qualified to judge. You don't know.
Your intelligence?
Yeah, you don't know I'm smart.
So wait, are you? I just know that you're smarter than me.
I don't believe that's true at all.
I believe that's true.
I do not, and I'm not being humble. I don't believe I'm smarter than anyone. In fact, I do a lot of dumb things.
Well, just because you do dumb things doesn't mean that you lack intelligence. Some of the smartest people I know do dumb things.
Some of the dumbest people I know have PhDs.
All right, so let's. So somebody asked me. They're like, they were asking me to do something today, and I said, no. Unfortunately, I'm pretty busy today. We start at 8:00 with the podcast. We go to pickleball. We go work out, golf, dinner with friends. They're like, well, why don't you just take a break? Why don't you? You must have a problem, Colleen, because you like to fill all of your space in. And I'm like, no, yeah. I just like to squeeze the juice out of life, right? You get one. You need to kind of take advantage of every minute that you're given in this life.
It's not like you're electively scheduling painful dental surgery. You're doing fun stuff.
I'm totally doing fun stuff.
Last night I had some friends over and we were roasting meat over an open fire.
Oh, like on one of those little spinny rotisserie things, or I was wondering, or just a stick.
I don't have little spinny rotisserie. No, I read the.
Wait, okay, let's just get a real visual here. How big is this fire pit that you were roasting meat over?
It's about 9 square feet of fire surface.
So you had a whole cow on there?
No, we just roasted.
But you could, just to be clear.
No, probably a pig though.
Oh, okay.
A small one.
9 feet is
square feet.
Hey, how do you do like a pig? Do you have to put it in the ground with the fire, or you put it on a rotisserie?
I like to buy him a drink first. Wait. Why are you asking me how do you do a pig?
Oh,
are you suggesting I have experience in these matters?
The whole pig roast thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to one once, and then not just once, but I went to one once. And after seeing that little guy on the table with his head still attached,
yeah,
it was just something I couldn't do.
That was at my house.
I don't think I went to your pig roast. I went to one in Wallingford, Connecticut. That was the last time I went to a pig roast.
Oh, well, I had one back in 1994. That was the first one we did. I have to credit, it wasn't my idea. My very good dear friend Jay was born in Puerto Rico, where pig roasts are the norm, and so he brought his culture here, and I appropriated it.
So you think you appropriated that? I think we've been having pig roasts in the United States for years.
Yeah, but I didn't get it. I didn't learn how to do it from America. I learned how to do
not
it
your
from my
bougie neighborhood you grew up in.
Yeah, no, I grew up in a bougie neighborhood. That's right.
I never understood the word bougie, because bourgeois is just middle class, right?
Yeah,
But the way that it's used, it's kind of has a different connotation.
I think it kind of means new money.
Well, I have no bougie bunny. Maybe one day.
You're way bougier than me.
Not because of new money or old money or money.
Or money, period.
All right. You want to talk about what's going on this week? I'm ready to fight. I'm actually really pissed off about this.
What are you
this
pissed
whole,
off about? Go ahead.
I have to say Roe versus Wade. I've been thinking about it because we talked about it a few weeks ago when it leaked, and we were more concerned about the leak. And I know that SCOTUS is really about their constitutionalists. So I get this. And I really like that the states have power. However, overturning Roe versus Wade for me means that we're just stepping back in time a little bit. And even though I'm not, I would never in a million years want to have an abortion, want anybody, I'm a Christian. I want people to keep their babies, adopt babies, whatever it is. But I don't think it's right to have an abortion. However, I think we're crossing a line by taking away rights from women. I think this is a very slippery slope.
Well, so the Supreme Court has kicked this back to the states. That's what overturning Roe versus Wade means. Right? It doesn't mean that you can't have an abortion anywhere in the United States. It just means that it's no longer a civil right protected by the Constitution. That's all. That's what I understand.
That's what I understand too, but it still pisses me off.
Well, so certain places are going to completely outlaw abortions under any circumstances, because that's what you get when you have majority rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I live in Connecticut, and in Connecticut, it is illegal for me to own a machine gun. Like, I can't have a fully automatic rifle in Connecticut. But if I moved to, I don't know, Missouri or someplace, Tennessee, I could. So if I really wanted a fully automatic rifle, I could move to Tennessee. I could choose to move to Tennessee. It's not the same thing at all, is it?
No, I'm waiting for the punchline here.
Well, it's a states' rights thing. So my state doesn't want us to have fully automatic rifles, and Mississippi doesn't want to allow women to have abortions under any circumstances.
Yeah, but I think history shows us, right? History shows us that some dumbass woman is going to use a hanger some way. And I was talking about that. These women, the morning after pill, just take the morning after pill, right? Like, I don't get this.
To the federal government to protect people from their own stupidity. I don't know.
I think, though, this goes beyond moving something to the state. I think this is a really loud message that it's just retracting women's rights and the rights of our bodies and what we do with them.
Oh, that's long gone. I'm sorry. The my body, my choice argument left with COVID. It's gone. You can't make that argument anymore.
Well, and then here, so, okay, and you don't like that, but you're okay with this whole decision with Roe versus Wade?
Did you hear me say that?
No, I'm just clarifying things.
I did not say I was okay with anything.
Well, I would like to hear what do you think? What is your opinion? You don't think that this is setting women's rights back a little here?
We figured out last week that only women can have abortions, right?
Yes.
At least without complications.
I'm only laughing because for anybody who didn't listen last week, we critiqued What is a Woman by Matt Walsh.
I think we were all in agreement that a woman is a creature who's a human creature whose biological evolution is formed around eggs or ova or slow immobile gametes, right? We agreed on that.
We did.
And we discussed what a man is too, at the same time, that a man is the same thing, except his reproductive biology is organized around small moving mobile gametes, right? What we didn't talk about was there is no third gamete. So all humans are born with either one type of gamete or the other type of gamete.
I'm going to write down this word gamete so I can look it up later.
Oh, it's a reproductive cell.
Okay. Thank you for that.
It's called a gamete instead of a, I don't know what they call
cell.
it. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Anyway. So
see, you are smarter than me.
Yeah. Notice how I dodged your question too, by talking a bunch of gibberish.
Yeah.
I introduced gibberish into the conversation to spread FUD.
It's a very good strategy because, it's like a shiny object. I just follow it down that rabbit hole. So going back, how do you feel about this?
I think it should always have been up to the states to decide. If you want to live in a democracy, you want to have majority rules, then it's a state issue. Just like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that are state issues, like what age you can get your driver's license. Some states are 17, some states are 16. I mean, all it does is it moves the debate from a national level to a more local level. And I tend to agree that local politics makes more sense for more people, because you can kind of keep within every time you have a smaller group, you can get more like-minded people, and they kind of cluster together, and then they're all happier slightly as a result with what the lay of the land is. I mean, I don't know.
Just speaking of this whole, okay, isn't there some hypocrisy here that that the Supreme Court can rule on whether or not we have to wear a mask and override the country, override the president on whether we have to wear a mask in airplanes? But they can say that that's a constitutional right, but now we can't have this constitutional right to make our own decisions with our own bodies, and that shouldn't be a constitutional right.
I don't.
Did I lose you here?
Yeah, because I don't think the Supreme Court, I don't know what you're saying the Supreme Court did about masks.
Didn't they? So they overruled Biden when Biden said that we had to keep these masks on. Was it masks, or was it, am I confusing this with something else?
Well, they struck down his vaccine mandate. So he mandated vaccination for all government employees. And the Supreme Court said you can't do that.
So isn't there some kind of hypocrisy here that the Supreme Court can go ahead and overrule this mandate from Biden to give everybody vaccines, so they can protect our bodies and in our choice in that instance? But when it comes to a woman's right to do what she wants with her own body, now it's not in their purview?
It's not the same thing.
How so? I think it's this grand hypocrisy.
No, it's not at all, because the Supreme Court's job is to interpret the Constitution. The same way it's the Pope's job or the Vatican's job to interpret the Bible and figure out what Jesus wants you to do. The Supreme Court's job is to interpret the Constitution and to decide whether bits and pieces of legislation, in fact, are in tune with the rights that are the God-given rights that, so to speak, that all Americans have. Roe versus Wade was just recently decided to not be a civil right, whereas in the case of the vaccine mandates, they upheld people's right for autonomy or whatever their decision was. I actually didn't read on that one very much at all, but I just know they said it was unconstitutional. It infringed people's freedom or whatever. I also know it was a complete disregard of the Nuremberg Accords, which has nothing to do with the Constitution, but you can't go around injecting people forcing people to take experimental medicine. That's verboten since World War II for good reason. But it's not the same thing at all, because they're doing the same function, but it's for different reasons. Did I explain anything at all, or should we start again?
I think so. No, I think so. But so now I'm pulling up the amendments, right? So the Ninth Amendment, rights granted by the Constitution shall not infringe on other rights. Like we can protect people against excessive bail, but we can't protect people against
Masks.
allowing ourselves to do what we want to our own body, freedom of to just, we can have all these other rights, but we have no rights to our own body. It just seems a little.
But they're not taking away anyone's rights. They're not.
But aren't they supposed to be protecting them? Shouldn't our bodies as women be protected under the Constitution? Maybe it's time for an 11th Amendment. All right, so let's skip this. We're gonna agree to disagree. You don't think that? Well, here's the thing. Do I believe in abortion?
I don't think I want the federal government deciding, even the judicial branch. I don't think I want the judicial branch or any other branch of government deciding what I can and can't do with my body. I'm not comfortable with the state doing that either.
So then you agree that Roe versus Wade, they had no basis to overturn that.
No, it was never in the Constitution to begin with. There is no right to abortion in the Constitution. The founders
isn't Roe versus Wade saying nobody has a right to do anything with a woman's body but that woman? That was what the whole argument was, wasn't it?
No, because then Roe versus Wade would have protected women that didn't want to get vaccinated.
All right, that's true. That's true. Next time we have a court case, we need to put better, we need better attorneys to write in better.
Yeah, I can't, I'm not qualified. I'm not in any way qualified to argue the specifics of it, but I try to look at from 100 miles up, and a couple observations that I did make. Uvalde shooting was what? 30 days ago, exactly today. Today's June 25th. So 30 days ago today was the Uvalde shooting. They put a gun legislation, bipartisan gun bill on Biden's desk today, 30 days later, for him to codify into law.
Right.
Roe versus Wade has been out there for 50 years. It's never been codified. Why?
It's a great question. Politics.
It's a question that Democrat voters should really ask themselves. Why didn't they do this? If it's so important, why didn't they ever do it? They multiple times in the last 50 years, they've had the votes in Congress. They haven't done it.
I'm hoping that's what will happen now. I think this weekend is going to be interesting because already we've seen, just these rallies.
They can still do it. They can still codify it.
Well, I think
all the Supreme Court did was reopen the debate, and there's a number of people who might be in favor of allowing abortions to remain legal, but don't agree with things like what Virginia and New York do, which is allow post-birth abortions. That's barbaric, if you ask me. I mean, I do draw the line somewhere. I think most people, we had this debate before, but I think most people agree there's a point at which, this is becoming harder and harder to defend as this fetus becomes more and more of a human. I need to agree with the people. I don't believe a woman's health. I don't believe a woman should be required to sacrifice her own life. Like, the law shouldn't say you have to give up your life to have this child. And I don't mean like give up your comfort or your quality of life, or like, what was that woman, Casey Anthony, that killed her kids so she could party? I mean, like, I don't believe that the government should be involved in these things at all. I just don't. You can't make a rule that's right for everybody. But no one should be like, if God forbid somebody's kid is stuck in a burning building and you don't rush in there and sacrifice yourself to save the child, you're not going to jail for that.
How about that woman that tried to go get her child out of Uvalde and they put her in handcuffs?
Yeah. And then they let her out of handcuffs and then she went and got her child.
Right. I mean,
that whole situation is just mind blowing. What the fuck was going on down there? I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, so before we leave this Roe versus Wade and SCOTUS thing, did you see that Clarence Thomas now is asking them to relook at gay marriage?
That's again, it's a states' rights issue. He wants to kick everything out of the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court that he doesn't think belongs there. I don't, I think he's a purist. I don't know if he's got it in for civil rights or not. I mean, it's pretty obvious to people that think that way that he does, but I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm unqualified.
All right, we'll stick with the unqualified because I'm clearly unqualified. I'm just a little heated this morning, obviously.
Well,
I just
because like
feel
a lot of people, you think the Supreme Court is saying that you can't have an abortion.
no, I actually don't. No, I am somebody who thinks that laws become, they should go to the states. This to me, I
Then
just feel,
you should love this decision then.
you know what? I just feel like, why did we do this? Why would we open this up? And why? I mean, it's a woman's right to choose, right? Like, why would we take this step back after how many years? I think that for me, the issue is more than them just saying, hey, you know what? Let's put this in the hands of the state. And I know like Biden and Kamala Harris are trying to now like codify this into law, right? Kind of change it while they have some traction in Congress. They're trying to change this and make it a law. But I just feel like somehow I was brought back in time. As a woman, I feel like somehow this is a personal affront to women that this was done. And maybe I shouldn't feel that way. Maybe, and I'm sure that nobody on that Supreme Court is saying, oh, let's like put women back 50 years.
Well, you
But it
feel the
does
way you
feel
feel.
that way.
Yeah, you feel the way you feel. But
It's emotional.
yeah, it's
So
hard to
gun
think
control.
about. There's most of the arguments on pro-abortion, anti-abortion. Most of them are so dishonest. It's very hard to have an actual debate about it. I don't know. I mean,
Why do you say dishonest?
because it is nothing. It's the polar ends of the argument get all the attention. There's so many reasonable people in the middle that think there is potentially, a good enough solution for this, but those people, those solutions never get bandied around. It's all or nothing. It's just having this debate. I can't wait because I don't know what the next current thing is going to be. I keep praying for UFOs. I just want, because, it's already, what about Uvalde was 30 days ago. We're not, we're done. The gun bill today, we're not talking about that anymore. Ukraine, we're not talking about that anymore. There's a madman in Russia who's got a nuclear arsenal who's pissed off at the world. We're continuing to expand NATO while Putin is, got his finger on the button and might be dying, and who the hell knows. There's slavery in Africa, tons of it, and no one's talking about it. I mean, there's so much crazy shit going on right now. In every election year, it's guns and abortion. It's just tiring. The cynic in me says this whole thing is just about raising money. It's just causing a ruckus to get as much money flowing into the political coffers as possible.
I'm sure that that I was probably the first one celebrating yesterday when I heard about passing the bill for gun control. I mean, that we're really starting to address the mental health and put something into place. I mean, something's better than nothing. I still think we have a lot of work to do. I do think people should have the right to bear arms, but I love that this bill talks about mental wellness, and that for me was a big
who's judging it? That's the problem.
Well, that's what I kept going through every piece of news I could find to see, what does this mean? If we're just throwing dollars into it, I think that's bad. But if we actually are going to take this money that we're putting into it and say, okay, let's really be strategic about how we're managing this problem, I would be thrilled. But
this may seem like a leap, because often I do make these leaps, and I think sometimes I don't fully explain myself. Where my brain goes when I hear about these things, like the Patriot Act was the first time I remember being a little bit concerned about some government overreach. Tyranny is the default form of government in human history. So people think we've evolved. Oh, we've evolved. And you're saying it like, oh, well, we set women's rights back. Humans haven't changed in 300,000 years, at least 100,000. We operate the same way. We're running the same hardware. The software gets updated a little bit every once in a while, but it doesn't really have a big effect. The Constitution prevents the federal government is intended to prevent the federal government from collapsing into tyranny, which is exactly what power does. Power always collapses into a tighter and tighter hierarchy. That's what happens. So whenever I see a bill that says some other person who's unelected, I don't know who the hell it is going to be judging my mental health and saying, now I can't, own a firearm to protect my family or protect myself. I don't like it.
I get that. I get
like
that.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I mean, that was a piece of the bill that I couldn't see, like just scouring the internet. I couldn't find out who's in charge, who's watching it. But I am sorry, like I do think that we need to focus on mental health right now. There was this really
Well, I don't disagree with that. I agree with that completely, but
I think we do have to keep, like, if you're bipolar or schizophrenic or whatever, I really don't,
I hope it works.
Yeah, well, I think we put guns in the hands of people who are just not in a good place mentally. And that really, I mean, I think what's interesting is to find out how many of these shooters have been between the ages of 18 and 21.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, that's really a remarkable number.
I think one of the Columbine kids might have been 17.
Gosh, so crazy, right? They're so young. But it goes back, and I think we have to have this conversation about, 10 to 14-year-olds and the inception of the internet, and that conversation I shared with you the other day, because it is interesting is, what happens when our kids between 10 and 14 go on the internet and they have that fear of missing out, and there's this mental anguish that they suffer that they didn't suffer generations past. They had bullying, they had, that's always been around, but the rate of suicide has significantly jumped in like 2014.
Yeah, it correlates straight line with the introduction of the iPhone. And I'm not blaming Apple for it, but it's because access.
It's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I get it, right? How do we teach our children how to process, like, they're the ones not invited and everybody else is on Instagram, or this whole like business?
Yeah, and I remember being a teenager, and you're just a swirling cauldron of hormones, and you can't think straight, and everything feels like the world is ending, and it's forever. Everything is forever, and the world is ending. I don't know. It's hard. I'm staring down a teenager to be right now, and light touch. That's all I can say. Like, just be there, try to listen. I don't know. It's hard to emphasize the right things. Hard to know you're doing the right things.
Yeah, there's no real guidebook, right, for teenagers. So a few years ago, a friend of mine and I, he called me because he had this business idea. He wanted to create this nonprofit, and I just thought it was the most amazing thing ever. And so I was like, all in, like, let me help you, whatever I can do. It's called Generating Winners. Brilliant idea. And we used a lot of Small Business USA members who are in this teen space to actually write and produce blogs and help kind of fuel the information that went into this. But one of the most interesting things that I did, it kind of got me thinking, and being associated with it was just such an honor, and so glad that I got the opportunity to do it. Especially, I think my daughter at the time was 10, like when he was doing this. And one of the things that I found when we pulled up, like, so I started looking at families, right? And how do some families, like the Kennedys, the Bushes, they have this like history of successful children, right? It's not like there's not a one and done. There's not like somebody who's rich and then you don't see anything, or somebody who's really successful and you don't see anything after generationally beyond them. Like think, and I don't want to, maybe I'm wrong, but I think about Steve Jobs, right? Brilliant. But you don't really see like this whole lineage of his children creating these successful enterprises after, like carrying that trait. So I went in and I started studying these generational families that have this real history of their children doing great things and then their children doing great things. And do you know what was really interesting about it is there was only one common thread with all of those families.
What was that?
They all ate dinner together, and at dinner, they challenged the kids on topics that they had to speak up about and argue with their family. So most of them were politically based. But every child talked about family dinner where they were encouraged to be involved in current events, in politics, and things that were happening in the environment, and talk about them at dinner. And they had to speak, they had to deliver an opinion, and they had to have robust, argumentative conversation about it.
Well,
And I think
it doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt to start out with millions of dollars in position in society well, so you can help those children immediately out the gate. They're, what I think, what you said last week, I think was part of this conversation too, was the expectation that you're going to succeed and you see it around you matters a lot too. Believing that you can, like, the working class kid that everybody grows up, goes to high school, graduates high school, smokes pot behind the dumpster, and then goes and works in the factory, just like dad and grandpa did and everybody else. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but it's not exactly building generational wealth. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about, the achievements of offspring. I mean, I don't know.
Well, there's, I don't think it's money related, because then we would see it consistently. And they actually, second generation wealth has the biggest failure rate because they don't know how to work for it. They don't understand the suffer. But I think it has to do with this confidence and knowing how to advocate and paying attention to the global factors around you and being able to figure out how they weave into your life. But I also think it's, and that's why I think I said a few weeks ago, for me with my daughter, it was really important that she had her own voice and that she could be her own advocate, no matter how much it pissed me off. It was a really important trait. And a lot of that was because of this research that I did on these families.
They'll do that anyway. I had to sit through I was privileged to sit through a PowerPoint presentation delivered by my 10-year-old yesterday, explaining why we should purchase an Oculus headset.
I love that. Did she win?
She's close. She has to weed the garden and faithfully weed the garden, like do it right. Not do it the 10-year-old way, do it the way daddy wants it done. And then we'll think about it. I'm against these things in general because it's not the real world, and they have enough screen time as it is. But it could also be fun to like get one of those barroom brawl games and just bust shit up. That could be fun too.
It's future, right? We're going to be on Zoom whispering in people's ears. That's what Zuckerberg said. You might as well just jump in now, Andy.
I'm praying for UFOs.
Well, so I was listening to this interesting thing about UFOs, and he was saying if there is a physicist talking, and he said if there are UFOs, they're probably at least 1,000 years ahead of us, but more than likely 100,000 years ahead of us.
100,000 years is nothing in a 13 billion year old galaxy. Nothing. It's a blip.
Well, I mean, how cool would it? So let's say the UFO lands, and these, not Martians. We know there's no life on Mars, right? But this other, form of life shows up and says, hey, listen, you guys are a little behind. It's like, watching cavemen. Like, let us give you, teach you some things. Talk about disruption.
It could be more like the Rick and Morty model, where they fly around and they look for type 1, type 2, type 3 civilizations, And when somebody gets to a type 2 civilization, if they're aggressive, they become a threat to the galaxy. So some cleaning crew comes in and just says, no, you're done. Fuck you. You're a threat. So we're going to get rid of you.
That's awful.
Yeah.
I would hope that like with you, but you never know. I've watched enough sci-fi movies to just know that, you know, there's threats out there, you know, like
there's no reason to think. Look at what Cortez did when he arrived in South America, right? Or in Mexico. I mean, there's no reason to think that they wouldn't show up here, infect us with a virus that'll kill us off in 6 months, all of us, every human on the planet. And you know, we pretty much have that technology now, or pretty close. You can see we can make viruses that are pretty easy to spread. I think we've got enough evidence on that. If they could figure out a way to make it more deadly, that's the only thing that they failed to do. Didn't kill enough people. But the aliens, I mean, 1,000 years from now, it'd be nothing. Oh, okay. What's their DNA look like? We can look at it from 8 million miles away. Oh, they've got that protein chain. Okay, let's just send them this. 6 months later, they come here. The planet's pristine, a bunch of empty buildings, a bunch of dogs roaming around.
Maybe coronavirus is because the aliens thought we were getting too advanced. Is that what your theory is?
No, that one came from China.
Well, it backfired because they're suffering more than anybody.
They were suffering. I mean, I don't know. It depends on your vision of the world, but some people want to be locked up in their apartments and told what to do every minute of the day and denied access to their money that they go to work every day and earn because they liked something on TikTok that they shouldn't have.
I can't even imagine that life. We're so lucky, right? So speaking of life, I have
to fight to protect it. You have to stand up and scream as loud as you can when the government says, like ESG, this whole ESG nonsense. It's just marching towards fascism. That's all it is. Get everybody in line, get all the corporations, get all the government, everybody all in line.
I'm a little more optimistic than you. I mean, we can call it naive. You know, I guess we could call it naive, or maybe it's chosen naivete. I really want to believe that people are good, and
those two conditions are not mutually exclusive.
So I was thinking, like, it would be really cool to just maybe be the president just for a day, so I could get all the find out what really is going on. And then I thought about that. I was like, do I really want to know what's going on? Like maybe China's onto something. If I live, in this little bubble and I could just be happy and think everything's wonderful, maybe that's the place I should live.
Did you know that there is a whole faction of people? There's lots of literature that the globalists believe, the Rothschilds, the Vanderbilts, they believe that
I want to be a globalist. That seems like a very cool place, a cool group to hang with.
Well, we're there, baby. We're getting there. You should become a WEF young leader, except with the young part, but still.
Hey,
there's a lot of people that believe.
You mean I can't pass for 35?
Oh, you absolutely can.
Oh, see,
especially with the soft focus we've got going on here.
I don't think I have soft focus. Do I have a filter on?
No, I think there's just probably grease on your lens.
Oh, this is frightening.
be careful. So anyway, if I can spit this sentence out, there's
I'm waiting.
A lot of globalists who believe that the aliens are just waiting for us to show signs that we are a one world government and that we have conquered war and famine, and we've conquered the climate, and we've done all these things that to make us a one world society before they will come and share their immortality formula with us and share their mighty technology.
I think immortality would be terrifying, right? Where would we all fit?
Well,
I don't know if I want to live forever. I'll never get to heaven.
What if you're in it? What if this is heaven? Well, this is as good as it gets.
You know what? I don't believe that. I really, really don't believe that. So listen, let's talk about squeezing the best out of life. We know that your daughter, to squeeze the best out of her life, involves an Oculus. So I was thinking, I was reading this article this morning and it was about what is the most adventurous thing that you've ever done? And so I've done some I'm like pretty proud of my adventure resume.
You mean
Thinking
besides
it's
two chicks at one time?
well, it was more fun with two boys at one time, but no, I'm kidding.
I didn't
But
think so.
so what is so if what is on your list? Is there something that you like really like? First of all, I'd love to hear the most adventurous thing you've ever done.
The most adventurous thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Jesus, you got to give me some time to think about that. It's been a life so full of adventures. My life is like, I'm like an oyster that is ever opening, or a tapestry ever unfolding. My life is rich,
You're avoiding the
complicated.
question again, but thanks for,
I don't know.
filling time.
I have not lived an incredibly adventurous life, although compared to some, maybe. I mean, I've driven the wrong way up a one-way street.
I thought your story a few weeks ago was pretty adventurous,
Which
like
one?
starving yourself to death and hiking and
I didn't
that
starve
kind of
myself.
thing.
I didn't eat for 4 days. That's different than starving yourself to death. I had food.
To find your limit, I think that was pretty adventurous. Like
Yeah, but
going out there and finding your limit.
yeah, I mean, that was a good thing to do. It served me well. It was quite a useful exercise, but it wasn't even particularly hard compared to what, Navy SEALs do, or Army Rangers, or those kinds of people that do those things. I have
Yeah, there's some people that just kind of blow my mind.
astronauts.
Yeah, like I couldn't, my version of adventurous is not even close to theirs.
Yeah, you're like playing pickleball left-handed.
I think I've traveled alone a lot, which I think is kind of adventurous.
I
like,
love traveling
to
alone.
different countries. I do enjoy it because for whatever reason, when you're alone, you immerse yourself into where you are far better than when you're with someone or a group of people you observe. But when you go there as an individual, you immerse yourself in that culture.
And you become acutely aware of how lonely you are on this planet when you don't know anybody, when you're somewhere where you just don't know anybody and there's no access to anybody
Yeah, I'm very rarely lonely. That's a weird thing, right? Like even when I traveled, the only time I remember I was really lonely, I was in Bali and I had just gotten there. And I went to dinner. And so, who cares? You go for dinner by yourself. And then I looked around this whole resort that I was staying in, and it was all newlyweds. Like everyone was clearly there on their honeymoon. And I was just sitting around saying, oh, there is no one that I can even like have a conversation with right now. Because I would be like stepping into their honeymoon or their special event. That was probably the loneliest I've been. But then, the next day you find out where the surfers hang out and you go from there.
And then things get really adventurous.
Had a lot of fun. Bali was really fun.
See, I've never been to Bali. I've barely ever been out of the United States.
I actually could see myself retiring in Bali or even just like buying a little house and having a place to vacation in Bali. It's so inexpensive and so beautiful. It's magical.
I'm too afraid of cobras.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even think about the cobras, but
yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to live anywhere where there's cobras.
So is there one thing on your wish list that you just want more than anything?
No.
Nothing?
No, I'm very boring. I want my daughter to live a good life. That's pretty much.
Well, that's the stuff that goes without saying. I want world peace. I want everybody to be happy.
I would like to play some bigger gigs. I've gotten off on playing with bands where there were large numbers of people, large comparatively speaking. I mean, having played in crappy bar bands most of my life, I would love to play, a big show somewhere with a huge sound system and a bunch of people. I think that would be really fun.
Everybody should know that Andy does the music for our show. He's very multi-talented. One day we'll do I'll actually wear makeup and we'll do this thing live so everybody can see the video and see all your band equipment and how cool your space is.
Well, it's pretty messy right now, and there's a big yellow dog taking up most of the space. My studio is rather small.
Well, I love the unicorn painting too.
That's my people. Oh, did your daughter do that? No, my wife.
You know what mine is? Because this was a very um, self-serving question.
So you only asked me the question so you can answer it.
Yeah, but you
I should
didn't
have
even
known
ask
that.
me back. You should have, like, isn't that what you do? So then somebody will ask you back. Well, I need help making this a reality because I've really tried for a few years and I just can't figure out how to make it a reality.
Well, you want to be a billionaire?
No, I don't really want to be a billionaire. Well, I mean, it would be nice, but I don't have to be.
Good problem to have.
Yeah. No, I want to ride in a blimp. Right? And you can't buy tickets for a blimp, or you have to go, they auction them off at charities. I guess it's like $14,000 for two. It's probably more now. But you can't buy a ticket and just go ride in a blimp. And, I keep looking for these auctions, anything like it's on my bucket list. How do I get on a blimp?
I am literally fucking stunned right now. Of all the things you could have said.
Is that so shocking?
I do not even know how to respond to that. You want to ride in a blimp. How is that even hard to arrange for someone with your resources?
That's exactly what, like, it eludes me. It's like, it's so frustrating. How can I not find a way to get myself on a blimp? I got nothing. And it has been years, my friend, years. I'm never invited to the right charity events, obviously. You can't call. Like, I tried to call and they said, no, we don't have tickets. We don't sell tickets to the blimp. You big dummy, stop bothering us. I don't know anybody who works, I guess, with any authority at Goodyear, right? I mean, I guess that would be my in to know somebody at Goodyear. Nothing. And I know a lot about blimps because I've really, really tried to get a ride on a blimp. And I told Scott, like, it comes down to this. If I even just one seat, I'll go by myself. Like, you would think it would be something that you'd want to bring somebody with you on. I just want to get my ass on the blimp.
You're right. Riding on a blimp seems impossible. There's no way anyone could ever do it.
What do you mean? It's not impossible. I just can't figure out how to get Colleen Ferrari on the blimp.
No, it's impossible. I think you should stop trying. 5 minutes on Google, you'd never be able to figure it out.
Why would you say that?
Because I just Googled it and it's like Airship Ventures. Here you go. How to ride in a blimp.
Come on. No way.
Did you even look at the internet?
I
did.
They got that.
They have the internet is on computers now.
Shut up. Come on. Airship Adventures. I have to look this up.
No, Airship Ventures. You can take a 1 or a 2 hour tour of the Silicon Valley.
Come on.
45-minute tour over Los Angeles.
I was going to try to get people to start our own business.
Well, obviously there's a niche market available here. There are not enough blimps. Well, of course, you're in New Jersey. New Jersey has a sad, sad history with blimps.
I said, I don't want to hear about the sad history with blimps. I just want to get on one.
I'll just let you Google that. Type in New Jersey blimp.
No. I did actually, and there's actually a.
And the Hindenburg wasn't the first thing that popped up.
Oh, I know, I saw that. And then even like didn't what's his name from Virgin?
Richard Branson.
Yeah, he crashed in a blimp, right? Trying to go around the world. That was
an air balloon, hot air balloon.
Air balloon.
Yeah, I mean basically a blimp.
Oh, you may have just solved my problem. Airship Adventures.
Not adventures.
No, I pulled it up.
Okay, what else? Okay, what else you guys? We this is your live stream come true. I just made your live stream come true.
I gotta go figure this out. This is great.
Me and Google in 2 seconds.
This is, it's funny because I was like, how do I ride a blimp? I've like just Googled it again this morning because I was like, somebody was in this article. Somebody got to ride a blimp. Unbelievable.
What else you got? Anything else?
Can I do
anything else? Is there anything else I can do?
Well, I will tell you my next vacation. I would like to go to Morocco and I would like to camp out in the middle of the desert.
What do you want to do in Morocco? Camp out in the middle of the desert? It sounds like a terrible idea.
No, they have this National Geographic tour. So kind of, as if I'm, celebrating all these companies today. We have Airship Ventures, now we have National Geographic, but they should be funding us for all of this free press that we're giving them. But they have this really cool tour. Go out to Morocco and you go through the village and you see the snake charmers and the markets, and you do all that. But then you go, and then the thing that I like about National Geographic tours is you can actually go, like when I was in Bali, you could actually go into somebody's home, into their community, and see how they live, which is kind of cool. So they have that. And then you take camels out into the middle of the desert, and you can snowboard on the desert dunes. And then they cook this amazing dinner and teach you Moroccan songs, and you sleep under the stars in these Berber tents. It sounds amazing, doesn't it?
Have you ever been near a camel?
Yes, I've actually ridden a camel probably at the Bronx Zoo or something like that.
Wow.
Several times. It's not really, I'm not really crazy about the camel piece.
You just like the toe?
I set myself up for that, didn't I?
It's horrible. Horrible.
All right.
Well,
so we've covered a lot. We've covered a lot today.
I'm still praying
Camel toe, 2 boys, 2 girls, Roe versus Wade, gun control, aliens, all in one podcast. It's amazing.
I mean, I guess we'll come back with a guest in a couple of weeks. I don't know, but I would like to take this opportunity to ask everyone who is listening to hit the like and subscribe button. That really is what drives us forward and makes us want to provide more amazing content like you listened to today. If you are in fact still listening, thank you very much. We love you. I would also like to say that this podcast has been brought to you by Airship Ventures. Airship Ventures, your one-stop shop for all of your blimp riding needs. Choose from various locations for sightseeing tours.
Notice you can't just
don't interrupt the ad drop.
Oh.
If we want to get paid, you can't keep interrupting the ad drop. Can I finish?
Yes, please finish.
Options include 1 and 2 hour tours over the San Francisco Bay Area, which depart from Moffett Field in Silicon Valley, 45-minute to 2 hour tours over Los Angeles, which depart from Long Beach, or a 45-minute 2 hour tour from San Diego. Visit airshipventures.com or call the company at 650-969-8100 for the full schedule.
I'm going to have to listen to this again just so I can call that number. I'm
anyone
going
else
on a blimp.
I like to think that today we helped anyone else whose life stream is to ride in a blimp.
Well, it's been fun, my friend.
As always. We missed you, Allison.
As always.
Yeah.
She does add this little element to our party.
I would have asked her about this verse that one of my Twitter follows is weird medieval shit. I think that's literally what it's called. Let me get it right so I can pimp them a little bit, because it's a great follow. Okay, so one of my Twitter follows is called Weird Medieval, at Weird Medieval, MEDIEV. I'm sorry, MEDIEVAL. And today's offering was a picture of children being eaten by bears.
Oh, man. Hey, I have to ask you, what did you have against my Sean Penn post?
Ugh.
What do you mean he's doing all this good in the world right now?
He's doing an awful lot of good. I'm sure he is. I'm sure you're right. I don't know enough about it to comment. But did you know that painting that I saw today, I was like, well, that's a weird painting. Why are these bears eating the children? So I looked into it. And apparently the painting is based on a Bible verse from Kings 2:23. It's a depiction of this scene in the Bible where it says, "And he went up from thence unto Bethel, and as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head. And he turned back and looked on them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tare 42 children."
That is not true. That is not a verse.
Okay, you could fact check me on that.
Did you
Some
fact
bald
check
dude.
it?
So your God allowed some bald guy to curse a bunch of children, and bears came out of the woods and killed them. And that's you like that? That's what you subscribe to that? You
No,
think that's okay?
that is just not true.
You
I'm
think
gonna have
you
to fact check that.
okay? Fact check it. Two.
You know what
Anyone
somebody
else?
else told you know what somebody else told me yesterday? They said that Jesus said that sin is just the absence of knowledge and not living and that sin is, in Spanish means without.
But
So I have to, where is Allie today when we have all these
wait,
biblical
wait.
questions?
That's so Jesus is completely contradicting the book of Genesis, which he
I
then later says you have to pay attention to because the original sin was knowledge. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
no, I don't. It was a very puzzling question. I was hoping to ask you and Allison this question.
It's a very puzzling religion.
Where is she when we need her?
I don't know. She'll chime in later, hopefully.
Yeah, you Joan Jett, that was pretty funny too.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, that's right. I heard it somewhere else.
Yeah, Allie was too busy with Joan Jett, Motley Crue. Who else was it? Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister.
We need to post her picture. Her picture was so great at that concert, right?
Yeah.
Our minister, which she's so beautiful and so sweet, but just see her in her concert this concert just was hysterical.
I thought the hair would be bigger. Anyway.
Always well coiffed, that woman.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you all very much for listening. If you are in fact still listening, we do love you. We mean it. And Colleen, it's been a pleasure on a beautiful Saturday morning. Go enjoy your pickleball.
Yeah, you should come along.
And just remember, if children ever mock you, you can curse them and the Lord will summon bears to murder them. That's all.
I don't think I can leave. I don't know that I can end with that. That is not right.
Well,
say something funny, mister.
That was funny. Take it up with Jesus.
All right.
Anyway. All right.
I have this quote in my office. I have this quote in my office and it says, I'm thankful for all those difficult people in my life. They have taught me how to become a better leader. And it's true. I think this podcast, having a difficult co-host, has taught me to be smarter. Not a better co-host, but I'm working on that.
I said this in episode 1. I am not here to make anybody's life easier. That was not why I was put on this earth.